That didn't work out too well.
It's all good.
Was it skipping on your side?
Hey, it's all good. There's a couple of skips, but it's all good.
What's up, Emerson? Emerson, here we are again live with Platinum Mindset
Yeah.
Podcast. Got Emerson here today again.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's up, Michael. How you doing, man?
Good, dude. Yeah. Was it that freaking Z? It was perfect right before we played it, and then it's going to start skipping.
Yep.
What's going on today? What you up to?
Hey, man, it's another wonderful day here in Littleton, Colorado. We're getting some crazy weather. I'm hearing we could see multiple feet of snow in the mountains.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the wind's blowing like nuts. It's just a huge storm. But hey, life is good. Another day. I'm excited to chat with you about what the topic is today, man. I'm excited to dive in. Always, as always.
What's crazy is like you're getting up there, you're getting snow, and we're under. I don't know if you saw down here where we're at. We're about to get hit by a freaking. They're calling it like a mega storm or something. Like I'm like in the red cone of tornadoes and all this crap.
Oh yeah, you guys get tornadoes and all kinds of stuff.
I mean, I don't get that many tornadoes here, but I'm right here on the lakefront, so it's wind picks up pretty good.
Yeah. Oh man, I tell you what, yeah, it's weather. There's all kinds of different weather all over the country. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
So, yeah, we're gonna be getting cold real quick here in Colorado. It's been wonderful. It's been a beautiful week so far, but yeah, so we're gonna get dumped on, man.
That's that global warming, huh? That's that big time global warming.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You want to buy a plot on Mars? I'll sell you one.
Yeah, exactly. Buy a plot on Mars or some digital real estate on some app, right?
Yeah. Like I'll sell you some oceanfront property in Arizona. How about that?
There you go. There you go. I'm in. Let's
All right,
go.
so today we're going to dive into mindset like usual, but we have like a little topic today that we're going to talk about, and that is you're one decision away from completely changing your life.
That's
Let's
a
go
big
into that a little deeper, Emerson. What's your thought on that? Let's start out.
man, bro. Listen, we got to talk because I feel like most people, are almost like kind of sleepwalking through life, kind of like a zombie almost.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, they're running on a script that they didn't even write. You know
AI
what
script.
I'm saying? like if your life was a Netflix show, would you binge it or would you be canceling it after your first episode? you know?
Yeah, I thought about
Yeah,
that.
like most people out there living in a season, they're filing taxes and regretting decisions. But here's a real question: is like, if nothing changes, where will you be in 5 years? And are you cool with that? You said you're
Nothing
one.
changes. Nothing changes.
That's right. Boom. You know. So that's an interesting point right there. It's like, why do we keep getting the same results? Why do we keep showing up for the same Netflix episodes, watching the same old show? We're not happy with it. You know what I mean? It's interesting. So how do you change that? You said, but you used an interesting word, decision. You're one decision away from changing everything. But what
I
is
think
that?
the biggest thing is like, so I remember we talked about this yesterday. Like, so, and I have a new program for this too. It's like, you know exactly what to do. We know exactly what to do. We know how to do it. We know the steps to take.
Right.
But the reason we don't is because there's nobody there to kick our ass and hold us accountable for it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with having somebody hold you accountable for it. I have somebody holding me accountable. It's good to be held accountable. I think that's the biggest thing in life is that people missing is they know how to do it. That's not the problem. The problem is doing it, because anybody can go online and hire a coach. I mean, go online and find exactly the same thing that a coach teaches or a program or anything like that. That's not the thing that you're hiring a coach for. The thing you're hiring a coach for is to keep you in line and hold you accountable and make you do it.
That's so true, man. It's like, we got to get real for a second, because it's like everyone talks about like motivation, like it's some sort of magical energy drink or something like that. You just sip on it whenever life gets hard. And bro, man, I think motivation is more like Wi-Fi. It's like it works great until you actually need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why you're talking about, like, that's why discipline matters, because discipline shows up when motivation took the day off. And sometimes that discipline comes through the form of somebody pushing you up against a wall and saying, hey, wake up. You got it. Somebody who holds you accountable. Right. And I think think about it. If we only worked when we felt like it, I mean, where would we be right now? I mean, if the answer is nowhere special, we got a problem.
Mm-hmm. See, I mean, and you can you can listen to all these affirmations you want.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful, wonderful. It's like, okay, but once that affirmation wears off, it's like squirrel.
Discipline, discipline, discipline. You got to, you're right. You haven't made a decision. I think sometimes, and everybody they say they want to be rich, right? I want to be rich, but they act like success is like some sort of like scavenger hunt or something, and the map
Mm-hmm.
got lost. It's like, bro, success isn't a secret. It's just that most people don't want to do the obvious stuff. Like you said,
They want what they show you online. The gurus, oh, look, have this Lamborghini. They don't show you what
yeah.
it takes to get that Lamborghini.
I mean, seriously though, and like sometimes people this is where things get kind of interesting, and I'm sure, it's funny. You start to get into this mindset stuff. You start to, do the affirmations, the meditations, the this, the that, the other. You start reading the books, but when do you actually get into taking action?
I'm thinking about what you said yesterday.
And it's funny. It's like if working harder made you rich, I mean, construction workers would like literally own the planet. I mean, if good grades guaranteed success, your valedictorian would literally be the billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it works. Success isn't necessarily always about working harder either. That's the weird part about this. It's like working smarter, longer, but with the right vehicle. So what is the right vehicle? I mean, I know a lot of coaches and a lot of mentors. They have coaches. Actually, one of my guys I talked to, the first time I heard this, I was kind of surprised. I had a guy, he's my mentor. And I said, do you have any coaches? And he goes, yes, I have four coaches. And I'm like, okay, I know he makes a lot of money as a coach, but he has four coaches. So he reinvests in himself. He's constantly holding himself accountable and being the example by lead. And I said, do you always listen to every single one of your coaches? And he goes, no, but it gives him perspective. I thought that was interesting. I never thought about having different mentors to kind of give you a checks and balances. And sometimes people think that they read one book and they're like, I got this figured out. I'm ready to coach everybody.
I think the biggest thing is too is like what experience. I mean, it's like, I know me, if somebody's going to tell me, oh, I know how you feel. Well, do you really? If you haven't been through it, don't tell me you know how I feel.
Right.
Oh, I understand. You don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I wish I understood what you mean, but hey, I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
That whole, I understand. No, you don't. It's unless you've been through it. You don't have to go, and you don't have to go. I'm not saying go through exactly the same thing.
Right.
But a lot of these gurus and all this stuff, and I'm gonna call them gurus because they are gurus. They know it all because they read a book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're trying to tell somebody in life how to get over those tough times. But you really had never been through a tough time. Like I told you the other day, like I saw this advertisement, this life coach, he was 19 years old. I'm like, wow, life. Have you lived life yet? I mean, you just barely got out your mom's house.
Yeah, 19. Well, he read a book and maybe did some courses and all that funny stuff. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of people out there that are inspired by the idea of being a coach. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but are you going to take advice from? This is where it's kind of can be a little bit of the chicken and the egg situation too, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like you have the professors right at college and they're doing all the teaching, and it's great. I think it's wonderful. They're teaching you this generalized knowledge and stuff like that. But it's like, how come they're not making the most money? I thought they had it figured out. I don't know. I mean,
it's like a psychic.
Why is it that the guy who's the high school dropout kid becomes a multi-billionaire? And it's like, what happened here? What's going on?
Exactly.
Here's a random question I got for you, bro. So let me ask you something. Just a thought popped in my head. So are your thoughts actually yours? Or are we just running a program that you picked up from school or your parents or whatever TikTok told you last week?
See, now like that's a good question because that's the thing I see. Like I can watch something, I can see something on TikTok, I can do all that stuff. But my thoughts are my thoughts. Like I feel like that I'm going down my zone. But I mean I'm a whole lot different than most people.
Yeah.
So I have thoughts that I have and that's it. I mean, will I listen to you? Will I have an open mind to come listen to what you have to say? And hey, could you change my mind? Yeah, more than 100%. Yes, I will listen to you. And if it makes sense to me, yeah, no problem. And I'm one like you. You gotta show it to me. You gotta if you're gonna tell me something, you need to have some facts behind it. You need to have something that's gonna really prove it to me.
Right. Yeah.
If you say there's $1 billion, then I want to see $1 billion. I want to show me.
Yeah.
But it's got to be able to if I'm going to switch where I'm going down the lane I'm in, then it needs to really persuade me to go that side.
I agree. I agree with that. It's interesting. I've thought about this many times, and I even thought about it like for myself. And this is an interesting question. But if you think about it, I mean, I'm definitely a thinker. I want to dissect it. I want to know what I really believe. I don't want to just take it because it was given to me. But think about this for a second. If you were born into, let's say, a different family, a different country, totally different influences, completely polar opposite of where you've been, would we still have the same beliefs? Or like, at some point, did we get handed over some stuff we didn't even realize? Like, did we get some programming we just kind of
I think so. I think 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about this to the extent of, okay, so let's bring religion in for a second.
Yeah.
For a second. But so let's just say I was brought up by Scientologists.
Right.
Well, more than likely, I would right now be believing in Scientology.
It's possible, highly possible.
Or if I was brought up as a Buddhist, I'd be believing in, if that's, and I had this conversation with some of my friends, and I'm like, like I always say, your mind only knows what you teach and tell it. So the reason that you believe most of the things that you believe, unless you drastically went the other way, is because that's what you were brought up in. That's what you were taught to believe. Now, if I was brought up Scientology, more than likely I would believe in Scientology because that's what I was brought to believe. And I think that that's a thing. But you also, with your thoughts, though, you kind of go your other way. Because there's a lot of things that I was brought up in Catholic Church. I'm far from the Catholic religion.
Yeah.
But but most people are not. Most people, when they're brought up that way, they stay down that path. And I'm different. I'm not going in that path,
Yeah, it's interesting too. So if you think about that, for anybody, so the real question is, and we have a lot of different beliefs, I think, right? But if we didn't choose those beliefs, here's a really interesting question: why would we let them run our life? And I know sometimes, like you said, religion, for example. I know some religions are extremely strict. It could be almost life or death kind of situation. Go out to the Middle East or something like that, and it's like, I mean, your family rejects you, or something like that. Like that has those consequences. I could see how that could be kind of tough to process for your choice of beliefs. You're like, oh man, I'm not going there. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the flow, right? But do you really believe it? And why would we let something, if we didn't choose the belief? I guess you did choose it, but why are we letting it run our life if we don't really believe it? But then again, going back to the beginning of our conversation, we're one decision away from changing our life. So like, what beliefs do we currently hold that we're letting run our life that they're not even really ours? They're not really actually adding up to what we want, like they're not, it's an interesting thought when you think about it, because you go, a lot of the actions and results and things we're getting come from our beliefs, even about ourselves. Like, what do you believe to be true about you? Who are you? What do you
I think, and I also think when it comes to that, like, who are you? I think it also, when it comes, like, to find who you really are.
Yeah.
I almost think that you have to something, and it sucks that this has to happen, but you have to hit something hard. Something's got to hit you hard. Something's got to hit you where, and it sucks because most people know they have something to change, but they don't change it until it hits them so hard that it breaks them. Why, if you know it now, change it now, it's easier. But I feel that most of the people that, and I was like this, like, you have to have something hit you so hard to be like, whoop, hey, wake up. This is what you got to do. This is who you are.
You know what? It's interesting you say that. This has been a theme for the last 3 days of my life. I'm glad you brought that up. This is totally not random. It's kind of like, maybe this is something, it's a pattern interrupt. So there's I have this book sitting on my desk. You guys have heard of Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. I think I got it right in there. Really good book, by the way. But he talks about something really interesting. He talks about hypnotic rhythm. And that's a really cool phrase, by the way. But he's talking about hypnotic rhythm being a pattern that you're in. You don't even realize it. It's these beliefs, it's these ideas that are running your life. You're not even, it's habits, right? Habits would be another word for it. Habits could be good or bad. But when you have that rock bottom moment or that massive earthquake that just nails you, your patterns get disrupted. They just break. And you're almost like, who am I? you get woken up. It's like someone shook you and said, oh, and you're like, whoa, whoa. And it's like, a lot of times you do not go back to the same hypnotic rhythm or that pattern, if you will, that habit. So it's really interesting to think about that, because I've looked back on my life and I've thought about times where I've had really big disruptions. Heck, the whole entire world went through one when we had the pandemic. Let's shut down everybody's pattern. Nothing's the same anymore. You got to figure out yourself. And for some people, I would say in that disruption, beautiful things happen in some cases, where like they connected with their family, they're at home more, they started thinking a little different. And some people went the other direction. They just got depressed, they start drinking or something, they get sick, depression.
That's a good point. You're either gonna, when something happens like that, you're either gonna go, it's either gonna push you forward more, or it's gonna drop you, and it's gonna decrease you.
That's exactly. Yeah, you're so right. And I think if we're at a fork in the road, good or bad, if we see those interruptions, they could be health problems, they could be a million different interruptions. But if we learn to see those interruptions as opportunities, which I know that's really hard to do, you sit down and you stop and you go, what am I supposed to be seeing here? What's the opportunity? What do I need to reset? Maybe but if you look at it as an opportunist kind of mindset, that's an abundant mindset. Scarcity mindset says the world is happening to me. I'm a victim. I'm a victim and the world sucks.
Yeah.
Well, it might suck what's happening to you, but a really high level mindset's going to go, you know what? This is going to make me stronger. Right? Like how's that? Like if
it takes a lot. It takes like a lot, like you said, it takes a lot to come to that and say, like, trust me, as hard headed as I was, as just as I was, I've gotten to that point where I'm like, okay, this is happening. This isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. This is a boost up. This is a step up. This is not. I can't look at it as negative. I gotta look at it as, okay, so this is bringing me here. It's bringing me to my next spot.
Dude, that's so good. We did this session a long time ago. It's called the 9 Levels of Consciousness. My buddy found it out, and then we kind of dove into it. But the levels of consciousness, like a building, they go up and up and up, and they get better and better and better as you go up. But at the bottom of it, it's very interesting. The first level of consciousness was a victim consciousness. So if you feel like you're constantly like a victim, like this is happening to me, your mindset is always the world's against me. I'm swimming upstream. Woe is me. You're missing so many opportunities. But it's funny when you actually unwrap that first level of consciousness, it's bad. It's not good. If we're in that. And the thing is life can hit you so hard. It's understandable why you would feel like a victim. You get hit by a car or something crazy like that. Of course you feel like a victim, but the
what
mind,
led up to that?
Yeah, the mind.
I was just saying it the other day. I was like, so I was just talking about this last night. Like, so even if you got in a wreck, and I'm like, so if you get in a wreck and it's your fault, I mean, it's the person that pulled out in front of you, it's their fault. Think about this for a second, and you could agree and not agree. Just what did you do up to that? I mean, I know it's their fault, but ultimately, what did you do before that situation happened to cause you to get into this accident? You weren't doing something right. Something didn't give you that good juju to get to there, because obviously you weren't doing something right that caused you to get to this spot in life.
I fully agree with that. So it's funny. I've run my wife and I. We ran an insurance agency. Did a lot of auto insurance, and we had this guy.
Louisiana, highest one in the world.
He had been in 11 not at fault accidents. Okay, what's going on here? Why are you in all these accidents? You're like an attraction to accidents.
Stop driving.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, there's something called defensive driving. Was
it Rich?
No,
it should have been Rich. He should have been loaded.
Well, but they were not. Yeah, it's ones where he wasn't at fault. It's just so funny because what you're saying is a very good point. But again, mindset does attract stuff to happen to you. So if you're thinking right now in a world, the world happens to me and it's not happening for me, man, you're just attracting just negativity to you like no other. It's going to be like this. It's just going to keep, as bad as one bad thing happens, then another bad thing happens. You know what? This is where our mindset really gets funky. Our mindset gets funky because your mind will start looking for a pattern and it'll say, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. And it'll just keep on rolling on that. Right. And you can see it like that. Really, it's just like, you're just reaffirming. It's like affirmations, but negative ones. Like, see, I told you so. No, so-and-so doesn't like me. This always happens to me. And it's like, but then you take someone on the other side of it who goes, you know what? I always figure out a way. Money flows to me. Like, opportunities are just everywhere. Like, no matter where I go, I meet the right people at the right time. Those are two different mindsets completely.
Oh,
yeah. And so, like, for someone, going back to the theme of the whole conversation, like, if we're one decision away, maybe what is the decision? Like, we might need to make a decision to, like, really figure out who we are, and what we really want. Because maybe our mindset's trash right now. I mean, you
And
got to
I
take
feel
out.
like oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, sometimes you got a bunch of trash there. You got to take out the trash. It gets stinky if you don't.
One thing I feel like, okay, so I feel, and when you're making this decision, people making a decision, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to, like, go, if I'm gonna jump in the water and it's cold, I'm not gonna feel the water first because I already know it's cold. If I sit there and keep touching it, I'm not getting in.
That's right.
But I feel that, okay, so if let's just say you want to open a business or you want to do something like that, and you keep second guessing yourself, don't do it. I feel like if I'm second, like when I opened my home and garden center that had a location, a retail store, if I would have second guessed it and not said, you know what, there's going to be things that's going to happen. I understand that it's a risk. I just got to do it. If I'd have said, hold up, man, if this could happen, then I wouldn't have done it. If you're not just if you don't just go in it, if you start thinking about it too much, you start second guessing yourself, stop. Because once you start second guessing yourself, you're going into it as a negative mindset.
You know what? You know what? It's interesting you say that, man, because what I'm thinking about in my mind is, why does someone second guess something? And I think it's because fear, but I think fear is literally just your brain making up, like, scary stories. And that's it. It's like if your mind was Netflix again, it's like it's playing horror movies.
We don't get paid by Netflix either, so.
No, yeah, we're not referencing.
Maybe we should. Hey, we'll take it. We'll take a sponsorship then.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's like your mind. If your mind was Netflix, but all it plays is horror movies starring you. So when you picture, like, taking that leap, like, what movie are you watching? What film are you watching with you starring in it? Is it failure? Is it fear? It's just made up. But here's the thing: if fear didn't exist, what would we be doing differently? Like, would we start the business? Would we make the move? Would we take the risk? Would we just jump in the pool and go, shit, it's going to be cold, I'm going?
I think the biggest thing with everything is uncomfortableness.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you, man, I guarantee you, at the end of your life, at the end of our life, if we get the opportunity to kind of sit back and reflect on it, we're not going to remember the fears, man. We're going to remember whether or not we actually did something. That's what we're going to be thinking about,
And one thing I'm making sure of, that I'm not going to sit there and say, I wish I would have. I'm making sure now that I don't have any of those, I wish I would have done this. Because I don't want those days. I don't want that to be when it's my last day and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to have that thought. I want to be like, I did it. And not that I try, because that word I try, I'm not using. I did it. I gave it everything I had. I did it. I don't have no regrets.
Absolutely, man. Well, and regrets weigh the most. That's the heaviest thing. Regrets are tough. We've all probably experienced regrets. You know what I mean? Like, I've had moments where I had this opportunity and there was a window of time that passed, and I was like, I had an opportunity. And sometimes you look back on it, and hindsight's 2020. You're like, man, I did not take that opportunity as serious as I could have. Hopefully we learned from that, right?
Yeah, but if you learn from it, is it really a regret if you learn from it?
Well, then it's a lesson. It's a lesson. It's not a regret. Actually, it's a lesson, because we're in the school of life. I actually heard, it was actually Sharon Lecter. I was at this event and she said something that stuck with me. She said, you are the only person on this planet who has the exact combinations of successes and lessons. You are the only person that has the exact combination of those things, which makes you incredibly unique. So when she said lessons, she meant those things where you had a temporary defeat and you learned from it. But like me, you, anybody, whatever, listening to this, like, we are the only version of ourselves who has had this unique experience in life of these successes and also lessons. And some of us have had a lot of lessons, a lot of really unique lessons. And what does that mean for you, though? Like, that actually makes you that makes you an incredible person, because that's why you see a lot of people who go through just all this craziness. They hit rock bottom, and all of a sudden they bounce back out of it and they're able to help people that are in that situation because they actually, like you were saying earlier, they understand to a degree that only you could understand if you were literally went through the fire, you know.
I was thinking about that, and I'll get in these spots where I'm like, man, I'm stuck or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just think, I'm like, and I just started thinking about this, about, how I've been with my medical stuff. I'm like, man, I've had people die, and I really don't, it really was never a thought in my mind, seriousness. It was just, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody dies every 33 seconds of what I've had over 50 times.
You're just like, ooh, I don't like thinking about that. You're like, whew.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, whatever. But now it's like, I'd sit there and I'm like, man, I'm gonna let this little thing right here get me stuck. I just went through that should have killed me. And I'm like, I'm gonna let this little thing.
But it didn't kill you. And there's like maybe a purpose or a reason you're here. It's like, well, okay. I'm still in the game. It's funny that you said, I've had several moments where I shouldn't have made it, but I did. So actually you should have made it. But there's a couple of moments where that would have been the end of me. I'm not here today. I don't have kids. I didn't get married. I didn't do this. I didn't do it, but I did. And I'm here. And it's funny if you just stop for a moment and appreciate the fact that didn't happen back there. Cause then you go, what I like to put it as? I say, I'm on bonus time right now. This is all bonus.
It's all bonus.
I'm on multiple bonus time. I'm on like extra bonus time. I'm getting not a second chance, a third chance, but many, many, many second, And so when you look at it that way, that's an abundant mindset. You're like, man, this is all extra. I mean, it's all extra. I'm going to take the best to get the rest out of it and, find a purpose in that too. I think sometimes imagine somebody, they died. Some people have literally died and been pronounced dead for a little while and then they come right back, right? Yeah. And what's interesting about that is like, imagine how you can take a moment of gratitude and be like, okay, hey, can I have a second chance? Yes. You're like, oh my gosh, seriously, I get a second chance. I get to like, wow, this is just bonus time. And when you look at it that we were like, man, I mean, it's kind of hard to almost be depressed because you're like, this is all extra. It's all 100%.
See, it's like, that's what I think that too. I'm like, it's sometimes I don't even think like that. I'm like, I'll start getting aggravated. I start getting frustrated. I start getting stuck. And I don't think about, hey, look, this is because I guess I don't look at like what I've been through. Mm-hmm. I guess I don't take it serious. I don't know. It was like a normal everyday thing to me. I don't know why it doesn't click into my head like it was something serious.
Right.
It doesn't click in my head that I survived this. It doesn't click in my head that I made it through death this many times. I made it through. For some reason, it just doesn't go into my mind like that. It was like a normal thing, and I just skipped a beat and I kept on going.
Well, if you think about it, like if our life, if we're the director, the producer, and the actor in our own life film, you get to choose what the script and the narrative is and all that fun stuff. So like in your scene there, you're like, you know what? If I focus too much on that, like it's kind of a negative thing. You're like, I'm rewriting my script, like whatever. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm focused on. Because that just brings you down, right? When you start thinking about it, it's almost kind of like depressing. So like, that's the cool part about like, even going back to the beginning of this whole conversation, we're one decision away. You can literally say, cut, like the director, and say, I'm rewriting this script. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You know what? Cancel the last 2 scenes. We're cutting that from the movie. And it's not even there. I don't even forget about it. Just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
You can do that. That's the fun part. A lot of people are actually continuing on within some sort of script. And here's the realest thing I could say is your mindset is either your greatest asset or your biggest liability. You're either the architect of your future or you're just a worker in somebody else's script. And the crazy part is you get to decide. Yeah. The only question is, are we choosing?
I wish I could break it. I wish there was some way that I could like break into my brain and say, like, think about, like, somehow understand how I still don't. And I never let, like, I don't even know how I did it, why I think like that. that none of that is any seriousness to me. Like the doctor say, "Oh, you about to die." I'm like, okay. I wish I could know why I feel that way, why I think that way.
Well, it's probably a form of resilience or something like that is what I would think. Like, once you've gone through so much stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard. It's almost like fear doesn't have the sting that it has with a lot of
Mhm.
people. Like, people that are really depressed or really fearful, fear really plays a huge role in their thinking. So those are probably fear-based thoughts that you just don't even really entertain. Like, they hit you and you're like, whatever. What's next? Hey, what do you want to do today?
It's to the point where like if somebody like my grandmother died recently,
Mm,
and it's like nothing. Like okay, cool. It's
yeah.
like the reason my mind is at this point now. It's at this like I'm like now I'm talking like honestly like
Mm.
zero, hardly like nothing. It was like okay,
You're like, you
I'm
didn't feel well, it's interesting too. I was thinking about this. Who was I having a conversation with the other day? There's just certain things like you feel and other things you don't feel, right? Like you feel excited, and I don't know what you can remember in the most recent past that made you feel like excited or happy, where you're like, ooh, today was a good day, or that was an awesome moment. Like, but when you don't feel stuff, I think you desire to feel stuff though, because we want to feel something. And sometimes I think what we do is we try to do stuff to feel, right? Like I need to, you know, and I know some people are incredibly sensitive feelings wise, right? Like your empaths are like, they feel everything. They're like, oh,
it's hard for
empaths.
me to connect with. I don't and I come. I mean, I might come across as an asshole. It's like no, I'm not. I'm not trying to be an asshole. It's just I don't know how to.
I don't
I
feel
don't know
this.
how that sadness is. If you know it's coming out of you.
And I think it's okay to be just genuinely and authentic about it. It's like embrace who you are because we're all unique. Like I said in the beginning, there is no other person on this planet who has had the same combinations of your successes and your lessons or whatever. Like that's what makes us unique. And I think that's where individually with other people, we can actually like give people grace and kind of like let them be who they are and like meet them where they're at. Maybe we're different. Maybe we're different. Maybe you're sensitive and I'm not. It's like maybe you think I'm an asshole and whatever. It doesn't, you're like, this is me. I would say be authentic and do what you love. Like do like what's your sense of purpose? Once you have that like, and it doesn't like the funny thing is I think sometimes people are looking for a sense of purpose, but they're like, I haven't quite put my finger on it yet. You know what I mean? Like, what do I want to do? And maybe it's not even something. Maybe you think you're looking for something grandiose. It's some wonderful thing. Maybe it's simple. Maybe it's like I like fishing. maybe
Exactly.
maybe you like some. I like shooting guns. I
I think
mean,
people are trying to like things that they don't even know that they like because they see it online. Like I think they're trying so hard to like things because it's popular,
right?
instead of just going after what you truly desire, what you truly like for you, not for everybody else, not for anything like that. It's
Yeah,
I think they're trying to do something. A lot of people are trying to be in love with something and try to do something that they're not truly in, but they're trying their best to get themselves to fall for it.
it's like trying. It's a forced relationship with yourself, which is worse because the worst part about that is you're making a decision to go after something you don't even love. And you know what? I got bad news for you on that one because you study stuff like Think and Grow Rich, and they talk about certain principles that are absolutely critical. Like, for example, persistence.
Mm-hmm.
You will never, you will never desire something you don't really want. And so here's the problem. If you're going after something you really don't want, you're never going to have the persistence. And persistence is like gas in the gas tank.
Yep.
You will not have gas. You will not get where you're going because you don't really want it. You don't really want it. You could say, I want $1 million. And it's like, okay, do you really want it? Like, I mean, of course, everybody wants $1 million, or not everybody, but a lot of people would like to have some wealth or something. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but do you really? Because your actions are speaking a lot louder. And maybe you should look at what your actions are and find if there's a little nugget in there. I'm saying this to myself too. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
you just looked at look for some data in your last 10 years, 20, 30, whatever, 40 years of your life and go like, what was something that made me really happy? Is there something I was passionate about that I didn't pursue? And maybe it's something like, for example, I love music, but maybe when I started getting older, you're like, oh, that's not going to make me money. Oh, I guess I can't do that. But maybe there's something that we really love that we've denied ourselves. And maybe there's a reason why you had a desire for it, but you just never fed it. It's like you had this little plant in the garden and you never gave it water and it's just shriveled up.
I mean, I agree with that totally, because like I can think back, like what was my best, happiest time of like when I was doing something, like my job or whatever. And I can say when I owned my garden center, yes, it was a home and garden center. Yeah, was it work? It was a lot of work, because I just opened up. I was putting forth everything, but I was putting my heart and soul into it, and I was watching it flourish. So
And it
yeah,
made
I
you
love
feel
it.
something. You felt something though, even though there was hard work. And somewhere along the line, I think about this too, and maybe it's the same for you on that one. It's like, where along the line did a mindset shift happen, or where did I make a decision or a change where I was like, no, I'm not going to do this? Did I want more money? And we have a lot. This is the other crazy part about the mindset thing is like the programs, we get all this information coming at us from all directions. It's all not necessarily bad. I'm not talking about necessarily propaganda either. I'm talking about, actually, let's talk about the personal development world. All of a sudden you start diving into the personal development world and you start taking on some new information, and you also start looking at other people and you start getting some examples of other things. You might go, ooh, I want to be that. But do you really? I don't know. You know what I mean? Some people are like, oh, I need to be like that guy, man. He's super successful. He has a nice car. He does this. And all of a sudden we start painting this new image of what we think. But you're like, I think Tony Robbins does this thing. I don't know if he's the one that came up with it, but he does this 7 level. It's like, I don't know what it's called. There's a name for it, where he actually asks somebody 7 levels of why. He digs deeper and deeper and deeper in behind the why. And you would ask yourself, and I think it's fair. I think a lot of us don't actually do the work to ask ourselves, why the heck am I doing what am I doing right now? Why?
Exactly.
Why? And then if you get that answer, ask more about that question. Well, why that? What makes that important to you? Boom, then you'll get another answer. Then you go, okay, why do you want that to be true? And then you're like, oh shit, now we're getting down in the depth. You might find, I've heard many people go through that process. They'll say, I want $1 million. And you go, why do you want $1 million? Well, that would allow me to be able to buy the things I need, pay my bills, go on vacation whenever I want. Okay, why would that be important to you? Well, because it would make my wife and my kids happy. Why do you want your wife and kids to be happy? Well, because they mean a lot to me. Oh, so your wife and kids mean a lot to you. What are you doing right now to express that?
Exactly.
Oh, wait a second. So you don't need $1 million to do that, but that's what's really matters to you. Wait a second. You're chasing $1 million to try to make them happy, and you can make them happy right now.
Well, another question is like, okay, if I didn't go after this, what would it do to me?
Yeah.
If I want this $1 million, if this $1 million right here, have this chance, if I don't go for this, what's going to be the outcome if I don't go for it?
Yeah. What's going to happen? What's going to make it different? And do I like where that direction's heading? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Like we chase money's a funny thing because we need it to survive. It like helps us do stuff. We can pay bills with it.
Everybody heard that? You need it. Trust me. I said that. Somebody said that. Oh, money's not money. Without money, you got nothing. Oh yeah, you can have. No, you can't. You can't have nothing.
Well, I'll tell you, man, good old fashioned Zig Ziglar said money's right up there with oxygen. When you don't have it, you need it.
Or something that you can barter, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that there is a point which people get a certain amount of money and they can have balance. They can put food on the table, they can live somewhere. But there is a point where I think you start getting past that. And I don't think money is a bad thing. I think people have a bad relationship with money is the problem. And I think, yeah, again, in mindset, I think there are people that actually become really successful, but they went after the money and they thought that when they got the money, it would make them happy. So they weren't happy on the way to getting the money. And then when they got the money, they realized that their happiness didn't change.
Yeah. People think you're going to get rich. You get rich, that's fine. You still have problems. No matter if you're rich, poor, broke, whatever, you have problems.
Everybody got problems.
Everybody got bigger problems now when you're rich.
Yeah, you just got different problems. I was talking to Andrew. He's the owner of Limitless, this company I work with, creators of Think and Grow Rich, the movie, and he's been around a lot of wealth his life. His family has a lot of wealth and stuff like that. He goes, money doesn't do it for me, man. He goes, of course it's nice. He goes, it doesn't make me happy. It will never change who I am. And he goes, dude, the kind of problems and kind of stuff that comes along with it's interesting. I go, so I hear when people say that, but I also think there's another side of the coin. I don't know what you think. Tell me what you think. I believe also, if you have abundance, we'll call it plenty of money, in cases where the person is actually well-rounded and very well established, it allows you to express yourself more. Because, like, let's be honest, Michael, you and me, what would our week look like next week if you had $1 million sitting in your bank account? Would your schedule look different?
Oh, 100%.
Me too.
I wouldn't schedule anything. I'd say I'd have a BA by now.
Yeah. I mean, where all the question, when you think about it, it's interesting. You go, where would I be? Who would I be with? What would I be doing? And when you think about it, you're like, and what would I believe about myself? How would I talk? How would I walk?
Same way. I can tell you one thing that has changed though. One thing that has changed from my past and now and all that stuff is that, so if I get $1 million tomorrow, I'm going to make sure that I don't, well, I've always been good with money, but I'm also, because I've been in situations, I'm also going to pay it forward. I'm not going to just hold that $1 million for me. I'm going to, somebody that I know that I see that is right there on that edge, that just needs that little bump, I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
And that's today. I don't think anybody does it. It's hard to find that these days.
Yeah.
I'm going to help people because I know the situation that they're in. And I hated that situation. And that's why one of the biggest reasons I coach, because I hated this situation I was in. I got to push through it because of my mindset, but some people can't because they don't have that mindset. And I don't want anybody to go through that.
No, I'm with you 1,000,000%. That's why kind of like when I started decided where I'm headed with things, even with what I'm doing, and similar to you, I realized that I like personally equipping people. I'm equipping myself in the process too. I'm becoming the best. I'm pulling my car up in the shop and tweaking the nuts and bolts and all that stuff. But along the way, I'm realizing I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm also learning a lot about other people. Like I'm sure you have as well. And you go, oh my gosh, I wish other people knew what I knew right now. It's life changing. It's like, so then I all of a sudden realize I want to help other people get what I'm getting right now and get on that journey that I'm on. Because I know that we could all be more, have more, do more, and really we're always going to be us or you. We're always going to be us. But the question is are we the best version of ourselves? And I think the answer is no if you're not constantly growing. And because I think just like plants, you plant a tree, it's constantly growing. I think we're actually designed to continue to grow. That's why I love books like Think and Grow Rich, because you're constantly growing. And I think that the moment you stop growing is when you die.
100%. Because once you stop setting goals, and once you get comfortable, and once you have settled and you're content, that's it. It's done.
And you know what? You're right. So here's the interesting thing. When do we grow the most? When do we grow the most? A lot of times we grow the most when we go through adversity and when we go through challenge. But what you do is you set goals that challenge you so much that it hurts. Goals are not Bob Proctor. I can hear him in my head right now. We have him in our program. We'll talk to you about that later, right? We can plug that later. But Bob Proctor has this statement. It hits me like a ton of bricks. He goes, goals are not forgetting something. They're for growing. Goals are meant to make you grow. And he goes, if you think about it, if you set a goal to get something you've already gotten before, that's kind of silly. You already know you can get it. Like set a goal that makes you grow, like something that gives you butterflies. When you set that goal, you're like, whoo, that's out there. That's scaring me a little bit. Good.
I mean, you said, like I always push, like you should always set goals every single week and set goals every day that you can accomplish. You know that they're going to be accomplishable. But you have to also have that goal that it's going to take some work to get there. Because if you don't have these short little goals that you're going to achieve to get there, you're not going to feel that sense of accomplishment to get to that big one. You're going to feel defeat. If you set a big goal right off the bat and you get defeated, there's nothing going to push you to keep going to that bigger goal. You defeated.
Yeah, and going back to what we said too before, like when you said, hey, what would your week look like next week if you had whatever $1 million, or if you had what you want? Like, and you know what? This is where I think, what's her name? Natasha Graziano. She's in our next movie coming up, Mom's Rising. But there's this stuff called scripting, but it's where you put yourself in the future and you write it right now as if you're already there, right? So you're bringing your mind to that place where you already have everything that you want, literally to a T, and it's very specific. When you start bringing your mind to that place, it's like it pulls you forward. It's like a magnet towards the future.
Manifesting.
Yeah, manifestation. And it's a really interesting thing because if you do this, which I recommend everybody do it, pay attention to how it makes you feel when you're doing it. It makes you feel really good. It makes you feel like, and some people might be like, well, that doesn't work. Well, Henry Ford would say, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. Like I said, what you teach and tell, what your mind only knows what you teach and tell it. So if you think, and if you wake up in the morning and you think you can't, the rest of your day, you can't. Like to the point of, I've made this point many times. If you say, I need a nap, well, guess what? You better go take a nap now, because now your ass needs a nap, and your brain says, until I get this nap, I can't keep going. I can't move forward with high gear until I get this nap that you told me I needed. I need that nap, and once I get that nap, then I'll be good. But you told your mind you needed the nap, so now your mind's like, okay, until I get that nap, I'm not going anywhere.
It's so funny. Now here, I think this would be a good one we could go through. I put down some things because personal development's a tricky space, right? There are some things that we do, and some of them we might be property of ourselves. Like we could be guilty of these things. It's easy to fall into some of these traps because this mindset stuff's really cool, but also we can fall into some funny traps. I have this list and I want to share some of these with you and see if it sparks some conversation. So I thought this would be kind of fun. I don't know if you're down with this, but so early stage mindset, we're early in the journey of mindset, right? Brand new, just discovered mindset, and now I'm a guru kind of phase, right? I figured it out. So here's one. You buy a $20 notebook, calls it a manifestation journal, and expects millions of dollars to appear.
Yeah.
Right. You got him. We got writes down goals once, forgets about them, then gets mad when life doesn't change.
But then doing work with it.
Tries to vibrate higher, but is still getting road rage in traffic.
It's like saying, I wish.
Yeah, it's so funny when you think about these things. It's kind of funny because we're all human. We do this stuff. Tell people. This is another one. Tells people I don't do negativity, but is still gossiping about Karen at work or whatever. Like that's negativity, bro. And or tries manifestation for 30 seconds and then quits because they can't stop thinking about other stuff.
Where's my money at? It didn't fall out of the sky. I'm not manifesting. That's such a joke. It's magic. I'm not doing it.
I know. But and it's funny there I feel like there's the early phase and then you get like into the middle phase. We're kind of like we're a teenager now, you know, mid phase. I am law of attraction. Like I delete all my negative friends on my phone, but I still keep watching like true crime documentaries before bed. You know, it's just like whoa. Or you tape $100 bill to the wall and you say to feel abundant, but you still overdraft in your account and all this stuff. It's like, you know,
it's like telling you you're gonna diet for 4 days straight, and then on the 6th day you're gonna cheat. Well, now your mind knows. Hold on a minute. I can't do one thing and the other. You can't do half-ass, because if you do half-ass, you're confusing your mind, and it's like, well, what's the right way to do it?
But the funny thing about this is you could be, if someone's doing this stuff, they could be kind of in that middle stage of the journey. Like you're not fully, it's kind of like when I start hitting the gym, let's say I'm 3 weeks in, I'm still only 3 weeks in. Great job. Good job. You're making progress. You could still fall off the horse real quick. Right.
Stop. Don't be like, oh, you did a good job. They can take a week off. No.
Or summer hit and it's time to go on vacation. And I took 2 weeks off. And when I came back, I never went back. You know, and I feel like personal development is like this. And we started the conversation off on discipline. So it's interesting because discipline will be required, because you can't just read one book and all of a sudden, I mean, a book can change your life, but it's only if it changes you from the inside out. Because if you just read the book, it's just information. It's just going to go in your head and out your ear. And, you know, maybe you'll get some ideas that you can repeat. Because a lot of people, I think, and I'm guilty of this at times too. I can point my finger right at myself. There's been times where I get this information, but I don't do it.
Oh, 100%. I just went to a Tony. I got invited to Tony Robbins thing, and I was sitting there. I was listening to this girl, and she messaged. It says, "My husband's pissed off at me because I spent money on this," and he's like, "This is the 12th thing you've been to, And I haven't, well, I'm like, well, then stop, because all you're doing is going to them. If you're not taking action from what they tell you, exactly like anything else, like you see these guru coaches, I guarantee you I'll change your mindset. No, no, no. I guarantee you're going to pay me, and I guarantee I'm going to do my work, but I'm not guarantee your ass is going to do the work. Exactly like her situation. I'll be pissed off too. You went out and spent more money 12 times now, and you're not taking action. Then stop doing it.
You know what? I like this conversation because you made me think of something. So why does an individual, and not just one, but many, and probably most, that's the worst part about this conversation, go to all these events, invest all this money, right? And how is it that we can go to an event like that and not experience a lot of transformation? Well, I was just thinking about someone, you were saying that, I was going, you know what it is? I got it. Well, so of course, a lot of what those gurus are saying actually might be pretty profound. It actually might be true. It's not necessarily their fault that you're not taking action. They're like trying to pump you up, but what they're doing is they're tickling your ears and they're making you feel emotions. And it's great when you're in the room, but when you step outside of the room and you go back to your life, whatever that looks like. Yeah. You get out of there. But then here's the interesting thing is what does your image of yourself really look like? Did something change internally when you heard that? And a lot of people are running on a program like we talked about earlier. They're still running on the same program. It hasn't been updated. They just heard some cool stuff. It went in their eyes and they're like, yay, that's exciting. But they're still the same person. And I think where the real transformation happens is when you actually start to do the work on the inside and go, okay, what do I really think? What are my results? What are my actions? And they start going, I have to change what I'm thinking because what I'm thinking is not getting me the results I want. And they'll hear them say that. Someone could hear me saying this right now and be like, yeah, that's so true. And then they literally will walk away from here, step outside, go hang out with their crappy friends. And they'll come back again tomorrow or the next day.
You just said?
Yeah.
Hang out with your crappy friend. So that's the problem too, is because it's the people you're hanging around. If the people you're hanging around is not like, oh, you know what? I think, yeah, that's awesome. You're doing that. And that's all they say. They're not sitting there and they're pushing you and they're saying, okay, man, you got this. You got to keep it going. I love what you're doing. If they're not ultimately lifting you up and they're giving you this fake, false, just making you this sense that they're giving you, but they're not really, they don't really care. Which most people in your life don't really give a damn. They don't want to see you do better than them. Let's be honest. But you have these people in your life that you can have in your life that say, hey, look, you need to keep going the way you're going. You're doing good. I love what you're doing. Keep it up. You're going to help people. That's the type of people you need in your life. But if you have this crappy friend over there, it's like, why are you doing that? Come on, dude, let's go drink. You're never going to succeed.
Yeah, you have to look at what's happening. And see, this is where people do the work. This is where the surgery happens. Like, you can't, you really got to do the surgery in your life and change. You have to resculpt who you are as a person on the inside. Once you figure from the inside out is where it happens. When you change what's going on in here about who you are, you can program yourself to be anybody you want. And that's where it gets interesting. You could program yourself to be a really bad person. You could program yourself to be a really great person. And right now, our current program is getting our current results. We have our current program that's running is getting the results we get today. Whatever that is, love it, hate it, like it, it doesn't matter. What's going on in here is affecting everything that's happening out here.
I think the biggest thing is that people need to come to realization is whatever decision you made the past, whatever, it could have been 20 minutes ago. Don't let don't think to yourself, oh, that was such a bad decision. Oh, that was the decision you had to make at that time. That was the right decision for you to make. That was your option. Don't let that decision define what you are today. And if somebody else is defining you by that decision you made, walk away, because you're not what you just because the decision you made doesn't make you who you are today. That's a decision you made. You know what? It might have not been a great decision in the world, but in hindsight, that was the decision that you had to make at the time. So you know what? That's what you got to think about it as. I had this decision to make. I made that decision. It is what it is. I learned. I grew from it. Today, I'm gonna not make the decision again. I'm gonna do something different, and that's the difference, though. Are you gonna do something different?
That's a really good point you say, because a lot of times we have this tendency, like if you think about what you focus on in a given day, I wish we could have a replay, like especially if someone's having trouble, like even myself, like what does your thought life look like for one day? Just all of it. We probably have like 15,000 different thoughts, but if you think about it, if you made a really bad decision, let's say a week ago, and you're paying for it now, you're probably thinking a lot about it. You're probably thinking about how bad you did, and you're replaying it in your mind. And sometimes we replay over and over and over and over and over
And
and
that
over.
kills that, and like, that does that, puts a stop to your moving forward.
It is essentially, but it's also, it's worse than that. It not only puts a stop to moving forward, it's worse than that, because what it's doing is it's reinforcing the image of that bad result. It's like if you were a sports player and you are a quarterback and you just made a really stupid pass, you threw an interception, and you still have the rest of the game to play, and you go sit on the sidelines and all you're thinking about is that bad pass you made. All you're
Do it
thinking,
again.
you're literally like, you're just jacking your brain. What you need to do is just go, I got to delete that. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not, nope, that didn't even happen. You know what I'm going to do is think about 2 games ago when we crushed the other team and I made 10 amazing plays. I'm going to rerun those in my head over and over and over and over until I got to get back on the field, and I'm going to snap back into that. But it's interesting because we can run. This is something I got out of the book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I keep these on my desk. This is a good book, by the way, guys. I know we got to wrap it up soon, but get this book, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't get paid anything for that, but you are what you think. And here's what's wild. So think of the moment, like if you could think of what's one of the what is one of your best wins you've had recently? What's one of your highlights of your life? Keep thinking about that over and over and over and over and over, and keep becoming that, because what you think you attract and what you become. So a lot of people that are surrounded by bad influences, bad people, the thoughts that enter their mind tend to be replays of a lot of those things that are happening around them, and it tends to create more of the same thing.
Yeah.
And so if you want to change your life, you literally just you want to think. There was this crazy study they did. It was for darts. You guys played darts before. They had 3 different groups. One group actually practiced throwing darts physically. Another group did a mixture of throwing darts and then thinking about doing it. And then the third group literally just closed their eyes, and for a long period of time, they practiced like literally visualizing hitting the bullseye, throwing the dart. It was a large number of people. The results were insane. The people who literally were just visualizing hitting the darts right had the best results.
Yeah.
They've used this for golf. They've used it for anything. It can literally work for anything. So yeah, what you're programming in your mind is going to have a big impact on our results. It's crazy. It works for sports. It works for relationships. It works for anything. Oh, I lost you.
So, do you think, okay, so like you said about thinking about it. So let's go back to the quarterback. So the quarterback's sitting there thinking about that interception that he threw, let's say, over and over and over and over. Do you feel more than likely he's going to throw another interception because that's what his mind's thinking about? Interception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Well, you know what? Again, I keep referencing books because I read a lot of books. I like to learn stuff. There's a guy named Sean Aker. Have you heard of Sean Aker, The Happiness Advantage?
Yeah.
Dude, he literally went to Harvard to study happiness. And this is 100% on point with conversation, because they actually discovered that the way our brains work, the faculties within our brain, the rest of our brain that works way better for us, we're actually like 30% smarter when we're in a state of happiness.
Yeah.
If we're in a state of neutrality or negativity, we actually are functioning at 30% or so less. So you're actually dumber when you're mad. You're dumber when you're at a state of neutrality. And he called it the happiness advantage. And it's really funny because that is the whole problem with like pushing happiness out to some sort of mirage goal line. Like, hey, I will be happy when I achieve this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to be dumber until you achieve that. Then you're not going to get there as fast.
100%.
So that quarterback, if he's really upset with himself, I think it's okay that he's disappointed for a moment. He's like, that sucked. All right, let me process it for 30 seconds and I'm wiping it out. I would say, think about something that makes you happy. Let me get back into a state of happiness. Let me get my brain back in order so that I can go perform. I'm going to go kick some ass out there.
Even if that's one of the things. That's why they give you, like, let's say you're losing at halftime. You don't come in right before you go back to halftime and say, we're losing. Look, we're just losing. We've been losing the whole time. We've been throwing interceptions. Look, you lost a touchdown. You fumbled. They don't say that. They say, get your ass up. Let's move forward. Let's get forward. Let's push forward. Let's keep harder. They don't talk about what happened. They talk about what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's so true, man. There's so much good information out. It's awesome that you said that too. It's like, I feel like with this whole personal development journey thing, like I think one of the biggest problems, bro, is people, they're trying to piece all of this information together from like YouTube clips and random TikToks and books they never finished reading, right? But what if I have an idea? So what if you just had everything in one place from one of the best of the best? And that's what I was talking about, like before we got on this call. And I know we like to just do the personal development thing, but it's like I'm not a big fan of like throwing some sort of pitch out there. But what if you had the things you really could use this right here in one place? And that's literally, so actually Michael and I, before we got together, we put together something, if you're listening, with I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we talked about Napoleon Hill a little bit, right? Think and Go Rich. Well, I don't know if you guys know this. There's a movie. Our company produced it, so you can get access to Think and Go Rich, the movie. We also work with a gentleman named Bob Proctor, and he studied Think and Go Rich his entire life, so he got this stuff figured out. And he can be your mentor. He's my mentor. I can literally plug into him for 20 minutes in one day, and dude, he lights me up, and it changes my day. But we put together, if it's something you want, it's a super mindset bundle. If you guys want it and you feel like you're looking to have a shortcut to get your mindset right without the whole trial and error, learn from a man who studied it 60 plus years every single day. So we have a super mindset bundle. I don't know if you have a QR code, or we can.
I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put it in
the
after we're done. I'm gonna put it on the YouTube. So whenever you can see, you'll see my QR code in my video right here.
Okay, cool.
So you can see it. That's the YouTube link over here. Over here, you scan that, and its QR code will bring you straight to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel will have all the information for this mindset bundle on it. The movie, everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to tell you too what it has in it. So you have, just real quick, it's got Think and Go Rich, the movie, which is a multi-million-dollar production with people like Lewis Howes, Grant Cardone, Rob Dyrdek, Sharon Lecter. It basically brings the book to life. And that's one of the books sold over 200 million copies. So if you haven't seen it, it's an absolute game changer. Bob Proctor's in it, but we also filmed Bob Proctor for 2 days straight. And he basically gave us his 60 plus years of mentorship on the 13 principles. So he studied success. He knows what's up. Plus we have, we threw some mastermind stuff in there, hundreds of hours of coaching stuff. All the information will be in the details, but normally this stuff all sells. Like if you were to buy all that stuff together, you'd spend close to $1,000. So we just knocked off like 70% of it. So you're not going to see this anywhere else. It's ridiculous that what we're doing, but we're just feeling generous today, because if you've made it this far, I think there's a reason for that. So we just made it easy. You can just click the link, the QR code, whatever, grab the bundle, and just stay in tune with Michael and I, because we got stuff cooking up, man. But here's the thing, seriously, like we got to stop overcomplicating growth. And if you're tired of spinning your wheels, you actually want to start manifesting like real success. Hang out with us, get the bundle, let that sink in. You know what I mean? Just do the thing.
And look, I mean, so yeah, like you said, we have some good stuff coming out. Like, we stick around, because we're gonna have a whole thing where we're gonna do stuff daily. We're gonna do that's gonna be so beneficial for everybody that. And don't think it's going to be that we're not trying to pitch you here. It's not. We're one thing we agree on, that we will never ever try to sell you something that you don't want. If you don't truly want it, look, we'd love you to buy it. We'd love you to get in on it, because we're never going to bring you any kind of bullshit, any kind of scam, any kind of fake crap. If we don't think it's good and we don't back it up, and people know me, they know that I'm not going to feed any kind of bullshit to them. So either you're in or you're not. But we're growing, like we said, we're growing our mindset. We're growing a platform that we're going to have so much stuff that's going to benefit everybody.
Absolutely, man. And here, I got the real question is how much longer are we going to wait until we start taking this seriously? We just spent this whole episode talking about success, mindset, which is really what separates people from people who make it versus people who don't. And the truth is 99% of people who hear this are going to do nothing. So that's unfortunate, but it is true. But you, whoever you is, I think you're in the 1%. You're still here. But I mean, here's the deal, man. If you're really ready to take action, we put this together for you. We're doing this for you. I heard somebody say something about sales, and it really impacted me. He said, sales is not something you do to somebody. It's something you do for somebody. I would never want to do something to you. That's offensive. That's not good for you. This is for you. This is not about me. It's not about Michael. We already got our stuff. We're on our own journeys. We're working it out.
See, and I feel like the biggest thing is too, that's like, okay, so most people try to sell you. They're trying to sell you. That's a salesman. That means they're trying to sell you something because they're trying to make a dollar off of it. Do I want to make money? I would. Yes, I do. But do I want to make money at the point that you're not happy, that it's not benefiting you? So one thing about me, I don't sell. I build trust, and you can trust that I'm going to bring you something that's going to benefit you. Now, if I don't think it's going to benefit you, I'm not even going to bring it to you, because I don't. Ultimately, what I'm going to do is sell you something you're going to be unhappy with, and then at the end of the day, it hurts me.
Yeah, it's not about that. I mean, so people got two choices. They can do it. The cool thing is everybody's in their own driver, so you can do whatever you want. You got two choices here. I think you can listen to this episode and feel hyped for a few hours, and then go right back to the old habits. Or you can take action, get the bundle, hang out with us, see what's going on, and have some real transformation going on. And so that's it. That's what's up. We I don't, unless I'm extremely passionate about something, I haven't experienced massive growth from it, I will not endorse anything.
Yes,
So, and here's the thing, it's okay for people to be compensated for things that they do. And if you think that there's a problem with that, anybody, it's like, that's ridiculous. There's the law of compensation. We add value to the world and to people, and money is honestly like oxygen. It just goes everywhere. It flows to and through you, and it's meant to circulate. And
look, don't think that, like you just said, you see how you should make something off of stuff. So we also feel like what we're trying to build here, eventually, like once we actually start to get it all rolling out, we don't feel like that. So if you're in our group, so you're going to be able to be in our group that with our same stuff that we're doing. We want you to also be able to pass it along to your friends because you like it. But when you pass it along, you're going to make money off of it. It's not, now we're not saying, look, we want you to be a salesman. We're not saying we're building some pyramid scheme here. No. We're saying that, hey, when you like something and you pass it along, don't you think, say, hey, look, that dude, go to that gas station, they have good beef jerky. Well, just because you said that, guess what? That gas station, now you just said that, they go buy beef jerky, you get $5. We're not building a pyramid scheme. We're not building a sales scheme. Don't think that at all, because we're not doing it at all. But we feel that if you're passing us along and they're passing us, then why not get something from it?
Yeah, and I hope I definitely got something out of this conversation, and that's why I like to hop on these things. Like, as an avid person who really, really loves this material, I'm experiencing it making a difference in my life. I know you are as well. And what's really cool is, man, every time I have conversations like the one we had today, I always walk away with more. I always want to leave people, and myself included, with the feeling of increase. And so if that's all that happened today, that's great. I hope you didn't sit here this entire time and nothing happens. That would be, exactly. That's not cool. That's not cool.
If anybody, I know everybody thinks that, okay, it's going to be expensive and stuff like that. Look, you can go on my website, get in there and look, go and just get on a blog. It's free. But you can get on the group. It's free. If you don't feel like you want to get into it yet and you want to stick around and see how you like it, that's fine. Look, we're not pressuring you, like I said. But also, people think coaching is expensive. Now, it can be. Yes, it can be very expensive. But that's why I came, and you already know what to do. You don't need somebody telling you what to do. That's why I just formed this thing, accountability. So if most of us need that. If you already know what you need to do, you already have the line, you're already doing it, but you're just not getting it done. You need somebody to go and kick your ass to get it in. Hey, I need it all. I love it. I love somebody kick me in the ass and say, do it. You need to do it. If you can just get that as something as small as that, just say, hey, look, I hold you accountable. That's it. As simple as that. Easy.
That's so true, man. And one of the things I'll leave it with this last piece. Just, I really want to make sure I put an emphasis on this. One of the things that I love about Bob Proctor, you guys can go find videos of him. You can find all kinds of stuff. It's fine. You can find all kinds of stuff, stitch it together on the internet. It's fine. But one of the things I love about this is you really get to stand. I put it this way. You're standing on the shoulders of giants. You're standing on shoulders of people who have read between the lines. They have read it line by line, day by day, year by year, studied it by, and you know what? Sometimes, and even Bob Proctor himself, I remember him saying, he goes, even at the end of his life, he goes, it's funny how he said, I feel like I'm still just getting started. I feel like I still haven't tapped into it. And that is a level of humility that comes with understanding how growth works.
Yep.
Growth isn't a destination. It's not where you're like, hey, I just figured it out. I got it. It's good. No. that's just the beginning. When you really get past it, you realize there's infinite potential, limitless potential. And the only limitations that any one of us have are the only limitations we set up in our own mind. That's all. They're yours. They're not mine. And you don't have to subscribe to them. And if you have been subscribed to some limiting beliefs, you need to unsubscribe. Click that unsubscribe button, not on the channel, but on your silly limiting beliefs. You know what I mean? And if you're struggling to kick them, we can work on that together. Like there's this material. You've got Bob. You also want to stay focused, though. A lot of people start bouncing around like a pinball with all this personal development. They start going to the different masterminds and all this stuff. And you're like, we need to get off of the sidelines and get in the game and start having success that you want. You know what I mean? So that's where it's at.
I think the biggest thing is too, is like, I know before, like whenever I was about to, I mean, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But if you feel like you need to do something and you want to change for yourself and you want to grow, don't let anybody stop you from that. Mm-hmm. Don't let somebody say, I can't believe you're going to do that. I can't believe doing that. Oh, don't pay for it. Don't let somebody pull you from, because you know what they could be doing? They could be stopping you from that decision that we just talked about. They're one decision away from changing your entire life. Mm-hmm. And if you have no idea what it's going to do to you unless you do it. And I mean, if you're not ready to, if you're willing to go buy a Starbucks coffee or go buy this or go buy that, I'm gonna give you one little example about that. Think about this. When people bitch and complain about gas prices, think about this. You go to the gas station and buy actually it's 28 ounces now, 28 ounce Gatorade, and it's almost $4. So you paid $4 for 28 ounces. Now do the math to a gallon of gas. Your Gatorade is about $80 a gallon. So start thinking about it like that. Gas is not bad. So, but if you're spending this kind of money on that, think about, okay, so if I bought this, and this, how much what could I have done with my life? What could I have moved forward by just this little bit?
Mm-hmm. You're right, man. And all right, listen, if there's one thing that anybody could take from this, just one, like you said in the beginning, you are one decision away from entirely different life. I mean, like you're saying, like, think about it. Every single person who has ever changed their life, every single one of them had a moment where they decided enough is enough. You know, they didn't have all the answers. They didn't have a perfect plan. They just made one decision and they committed to it, you know? So I guess I would say my question is like, what's your decision? You know what I mean? Are you going to keep running the same patterns? You know, are you going to keep using the same excuses, maybe next year mindset, are you going to finally make one decision that changes everything? Because if you don't, I promise you 5 years from now, you're going to look back on this day and you're going to say, I wish I had. That's just regret. And bro, if you're ready to make that decision today, you already know where to start.
Exactly. And look, like we're not going to lead you down some rabbit hole like that. Look, if we bring it to you, we're bringing it to you something good.
That's right.
We're not going anywhere. So you know, we're not like we're gonna say, oh, we're on WhatsApp, and then all of a sudden our WhatsApp number changes. You know.
Nah.
But here's my book, people. I never say anything about my book, but it's on Amazon. Or you can hit me up, and I'll send you a signed copy of it.
Boom! You better do it. You know what to do. You know exactly.
Go ahead and put this up there so you can everybody can scan the QR code to get to YouTube, and we're gonna put all the information. We're still trying to bundle everything together and try to. What we're doing is we're working the best we can to bring forth the most amazing thing we can bring. Because we have some stuff that we're like, hold on a minute, I want to get it a little better before we do this.
Yep.
And that's why we hold it off. So we're only going to bring it once it's done and once it's amazing and ready to go.
Yeah, stay plugged in and go make your decision. It's for you, not for me. It's your decision. and for Michael, it's not for us. So we will see you when we see you next time, whenever that is. But we got stuff cooking, and I hope you stay tuned in with us. And I promise you will not be disappointed. If you want to go where we're going, we're heading onwards and upwards. So if that's where you want to go, let's hang out together. Let's go together.
100%. All right, Emerson, until next time.
All right,
everybody,
brother.
I'm about to post this. I'm going to put the QR code up one more time, and then we'll see you on the other side.
All right. Cheers, y'all.
There's your QR code. Let me go ahead and, if y'all are here, scan it real quick.
Make sure you snag that.
Yes, you want to snag it. Trust me. All right. Later, everybody.
Peace.